Hi Sumit, if you like to learn how to make this beautiful dress with a roll-up collar and a stylish side pleats, then this tutorial is definitely for you. You need to watch till the very end. My name is Veronica Adams Eze. Welcome to Vera Adams YouTube channel. So without wasting time, let's get started. Here's the pattern paper I'll be working on. I'm going ahead to draw a line, yes, which will serve as a starting line. After drawing the line, of course, I'm going to go ahead to mark 4.5 inches, which will serve as the extension for the neck roll-up collar. Once this is done, I'm going to move ahead to the side of the paper and I'm going to go ahead to measure 5 inches away, and I'll mark it from the top to the bottom. That will serve as the extension for the wrap or the dress overlap, anyone you prefer to call it. So right here, I'm going ahead to connect those points together to form a straight line. And from that point where we marked 5 inches, I'm going to start taking the shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 inches. And from there, I'm going to mark vertically. That's from shoulder to bust 9 inches, shoulder to underbust 12 inches, shoulder to waist 16 inches, shoulder to hip 24 inches. And I'll go ahead and connect to make a straight line. Then I can move ahead to name these lines as the bust line, the underbust line, the waistline, and the hip line. From the bust line, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches and make a mark, and that will serve as the chest line. I'll roll a straight line to indicate this. On this line, I'm going to go ahead to take the shoulder measurement, that is 7.5 inches, which was initially 15 inches, divided by 2, give you 7.5 inches. I'm going to connect these points together and I'll come down by 1 inch right here, and that will serve as a shoulder slope. Right here, I'm taking 3 inches for the neck width and connect together. So if you're not new to my channel, then I'm sure that you understand this already. So right here, I'm also taking 3 inches for the neck depth, and I'll bring in my curve rule and draw it out. So once this is done, I'm going to move ahead to the waistline and I'll be taking 3.5 inches, which is the nipple to nipple measurement. I'll take this measurement on the waistline, on the underbust line, on the bust line, as well as on the hip line. Please note where I'm taking this measurement from where we marked 5 inches on the side of the paper. I hope you understand this. Right on the waistline, I'm going to go out by 0.75 inches, making a total of 1.5 inches, and I'm coming down by 1 inch from the bust line. And also on the hip line, I'm going up by 2 inches, and I'm going ahead to connect this together to form the waist dart. If you don't know how to go about this, you can check my previous tutorial on how to do this so you can understand perfectly well. Moving on, I'm going to go ahead to mark the bust band measurement, a quarter of the bust band measurement on the chest line and the bust line. So right here on the waistline, I'll go ahead and take a quarter of the waist measurement, which is 6.5 inches, and I'll also go back to add the 1.5 inches for the dart as well. Moving on to the hip, a quarter of the hip measurement is 9.5 inches. I've gone ahead to mark that. So right here, I'm going ahead to connect all the points together. Moving on to the armhole line, I'm going to divide what I have on the armhole line into 2, make a mark right there, and then I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch and connect together with the help of my curve rule. Right here, I've gone ahead to attach a fresh paper to the length of the initial paper. Since the initial paper did not give me the length that I wanted, the length stopped at around 30 something, so I went ahead to attach a fresh paper so that I can have my desired length. So right at this point, you can go ahead to use this pattern paper to cut out the back of your dress. The only difference is that it will not have the extension on the side, that 5 inches, and also the extension on the upper side for the collar. And also the slope for the back armhole is different from that of the front. So from that point, just connects directly to the chest line. From that, half of what we divided on the armhole line, just as I indicated right here. More so, the neck depth for the bag would be smaller. That means you can do half of an inch or 1 inch, nothing more than that. So once that is done, we can move ahead to completing the front pattern. So right here on the waistline, I'm going to go ahead to mark 3.5 inches. I'll also go down to the bottom of the paper and also mark 3.5 inches, and I'll connect these points together so I can have a straight line. This 3.5 inches actually serves as the actual wrap extension. I hope you understand. Next thing is to make a V shape right from the neck width down to the extension that we made here. If you observe closely, you realize that I actually made the V line to extend above the shoulder line. So from that point, I'm going out by half of an inch and I'm connecting as you're seeing me doing. And right there, I'm going to go ahead to measure 3.5 inches as the length of the collar extension. Then I'll determine the width of the collar, which I'm using 2.5 inches for. And from that shoulder slope, please, from the shoulder slope, go ahead and mark the same 2.5 inches and connect together, just as you are seeing me doing right here. I hope you understand. If you don't, kindly rewatch this part back so that you can fully understand what I did here. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to move ahead to start cutting out, and of course I'll start cutting out from the bottom of the paper. Please pay close attention to how I'm cutting this out, especially around the collar, so that you do not make a mistake when you're cutting yours. Now that I'm done cutting, I'm going to show you how it would look like on your fabric. So this is the way that the folding is going to go, and also around the neck. So you see that it already looks like what we want. So I'm going to go ahead to open that up back so that we can continue. So right here, the actual length that I want is 39 or 39.5 inches. I eventually went ahead with 39.5 inches. So at this point, I've gone ahead to cut out another pattern paper exactly as the first one. Everything same. Actually, the only difference between the two papers is that I have not marked for this new one, which I'll eventually go ahead to do. So right here, this new paper I've named as the left side, while the initial one will represent the right side. I'll go ahead and put the right side of the paper aside so that we can work on the left side. So here is the left side paper, and then I'll also go ahead to mark 39.5 inches as the length so that it correlates with the right one. Right on this paper, I'm going to mark 1 inch away from the wrap extension, and I'll connect it to meet the waistline as indicated here, where the collar would end. So because my ruler is not as long as it's supposed to, so I'm going to be doing it gradually. I actually marked 1.5 inches instead of 1 inch, so I've gone ahead to correct it here. So right from that 1 inch point, I'm going to connect to meet the side of the 39 inches, which is the actual length of this dress, so that we have this shape. Now that I've finished cutting that part out, I'll also go ahead to cut out this side as well. If you want it to be straight, you don't want any curviness or any slant shape, you can go ahead to leave it just as the way it is. But I prefer to go alongside with the inspiration. So I want to quickly point something out to you. Since this paper is the left side, the collar has to be adjusted. The collar cannot be facing that initial way. I'm trying to mold it so that it faces the other way, so that when we bring in the right part of the paper, they would align. If it was facing this way, the other way that it was initially, both will not align this way. So if you have your paper not facing each other like this, that means you have to adjust it. So that was what I did here. This is the right side of the paper, and since it does not have any design, I've gone ahead to cut out the 39 inches length exactly, no extension, no addition whatsoever. If you're wondering why you cannot see the dart at this side, it's because of I adjusted the collar region, so I'm using the other side of this paper, so that's why you cannot see the dart or the highlighted marker pen. So right from the waistline, I'll go ahead to take 2 inches away from the waistline, and from that point I'll mark 2 inches away and put a mark, and then I'll connect just as you're seeing me doing right here in a curved manner. I'll then move down to the bottom of the paper and I'll come out 1 inch away from the wrap extension, and from that point I'll connect upwards. I tried zooming in so that you can see. So from this part is straight, then eventually it would go in a slanted manner as you're seeing me doing right here. I would use my marker pen to highlight so it becomes more visible. Right at this point, I'll go ahead to start cutting it out from the bottom right to the top. If you watch up to this point, I want to say a big thank you. If this is your first time here, welcome. Do well to subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and to my returning subscribers, you are the best. Thank you for always tuning in. For the side pleat design, I'm going to measure what I have here, and I have 10 inches, so I'm going to divide it into 10 different places. Although after I was done with this, I realized that I don't have enough fabric, so I said to just adjust it a bit. So you can do as much as you want. You can decide to have a space of 1 inch or even 2 inches. You can decide to do 2 inches. So I've gone ahead to do it. If you notice, you see that when I was ruling this out, I didn't exactly follow the 1 inch that I ruled out initially. Because the bigger the spaces you create in between, the more fabric you'll be needing. So if you have a lot of fabric at your disposal, then you can go ahead. So right at this point, I'll be cutting it all through, following the lines. And I actually forgot to number. You have to number. This is quite important, so that when you're cutting on your fabric, you know how to properly place each line well. If you don't do this, you can actually end up with a totally different shape, and this will actually distort your entire work. So what I'm doing right here is to try to arrange each line, and I'm doing it numerically. I'm following them from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that is exactly how we'll be placing it on the fabric. So here's what it looks like on the fabric. And now we've come to the end of this tutorial. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up by clicking on the like button. Do well to click on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified when I drop the sewing tutorial. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.